Hello and welcome to Behind the Lines. I'm Diane Dayton. Today we're going to talk to Michele Livingston, no stranger to those that have seen her on our show before. She's written her 6th book. She's an artist, an author, an ordained minister, a visionary, and a spiritual counselor.
Yes.
Thank you for being
And
here.
thank you so much for having me back, Diane.
It's
my
wonderful
pleasure.
to see you. It really is. For those who don't know you, when we know what an artist is, and you've done some fabulous work. We know what an author is. We know what an ordained minister is. But what really is a visionary spiritual counselor?
Spiritual visionary counselor. My great-grandmother in central Pennsylvania was a dunker, which is, they're called the plain people. She had a gift. She was able to see visions around individuals and tell them about themselves. And my mother, it was handed down to my mother, who was a clairvoyant, which means clear seeing. She would have precognition dreams, my mother. She would dream of something and a couple days later it would happen. So my family was very supportive of my work, and I was always intuitive, which means inner knowing, and somewhat empathic, and that means feeling energy around people. But there's an old saying, to whom much is given, much is required. So I don't think before a certain age I was mature enough to handle the gift. And the gift basically is helping people through their loss of loved ones. So I've been doing the work for 25 years.
Wow.
And I do phone sessions, in-person sessions, and group sessions, and also seminars, larger groups.
Right. Now, this is your 6th book.
Yes.
What were the other 5 before this?
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Visions from Mary. I'm not Catholic, but I had a beautiful vision of Mother Mary in 1993. And I did 12 paintings of the feminine divine energy. So that was my first one. Echoes in the Wind is about the Lakota Sioux Native American Indians. And on a vision quest in Sedona, he communicated, Chief Red Cloud communicated with me. Then I have Miraculous Encounters, and there are over 100 true stories of people's experiences with angels and also the departed. I have Messages from Beyond, which is a spiritual guidebook, Diane. Basically, it's about conscious manifestation, positive affirmations. I have a prayer book, because I'm an ordained minister. It's called Awakening to the Christ Consciousness. And there are 21 chapters and 21 prayers, little tabletop book.
Right.
And then this is my 6th book, Living in the Afterlife.
How did this one come about?
This one, well, my mother and I were very close, first of all. She passed away in 1993, and I've had dreams of her. That's one of the ways that the spirit realms communicate. I smell her perfume sometimes. So she came to me when I was actually awake, and I saw her, and she said, "You're going to write a book on heaven." And I said, "Am I?" And she said, "I'd like you to." She was an English teacher. She was a poet, and I thought, well, it's going to be a good book, because if she helps me with it, that's great. So it started 4 years ago, and she told me what it was like to make transition. You've probably heard about the near-death experience.
Yes.
Someone's on the operating table, and before they know it, they're above looking down at their bodies. Well, that's kind of where it begins and ends for a lot of people. But this book takes us way beyond that, into the light, through the portal or the tunnel, where we have a family reunion, and so on, and it goes on from there. So my mother is a teacher in heaven. She was a teacher on earth, but she was a very compassionate person and a person of faith. And so she's teaching about compassion on the other side, souls that want to learn. And she does healing work there, which I find fascinating.
Yes, it is fascinating. And you said this was 4 years in the making. Is that correct? What is the process of writing this? I think you talk about the chair.
Yes, yes. We have a sunroom. And it's kind of on a ley line of energy. I have...
what does that mean?
A ley line of energy is a portal for... there are different portals in different sections of the world. For some reason, several healers have told me that this is a portal for spirits to come and go. And it runs in a diagonal through our home, and people have felt energy there. They feel very peaceful. So I believe in the power of prayer, and I'd pray and meditate. And then when I would open my eyes, across from me would be an empty chair. Spirits came to talk to me, souls that some of them I never met. Some of them were celebrities, family members, friends, and clients. And they told me in their own words, telepathically, from their soul mind to my conscious mind, what they were doing and how their transition was. And I would do automatic writing. Basically, I had a notebook, and I would just jot down what they were giving me very, very rapidly. And then we transcribed it. And it was interesting because the soul, which is energy, which you can never destroy, retains a personality and a mind and a memory bank. So each personality or soul that came through was different. And there are 33 souls in this book that gave information, on different subjects.
Wow.
Interesting.
You are also known as the people's medium. Expound on that.
Well, 8 years ago, I got a call from a friend of mine to be on a morning drive time show. And it's the X1057. It's on from 5 in the morning till 9. And Nipsey, Jen Shade, and Earl are on. It's wonderful. I take phone calls of people that have had loss.
Okay.
There's nothing like the loss of a child or a spouse or anyone. So people are looking for answers. They want to know how their loved ones are doing, where they are, if they're okay, if they have any messages for them. So yes, I've been on there for 8 or 9 years. It's called the People's Morning Show.
Okay.
So I'm the people's medium.
Okay,
It all
got
kind
it.
of fell into place.
Got it. That's right. And that's not the only thing that you've done, too. You've done a lot of other things.
Well, I'm also on an afternoon drive time show, Nash, which is country.
Okay.
The morning show is rock, and the afternoon drive time show is country, Nash. And I've been on there for a couple of years. And the same thing, I take phone calls. We talk about different subjects.
Yeah.
And also people love to know how the spirit realms communicate. There are 10 different ways that they say hello from heaven. So dreams, I think you know about the dreams,
Right.
and electrical occurrences.
Okay.
Messengers can be birds or butterflies.
Okay.
And I'm sure some of your viewers can connect with that. They're symbols of the soul, winged creatures.
Oh, wow.
They can manifest because they're in a higher, faster frequency, or dematerialize. It's fascinating. So, as I said, the one book, not this one, but Miraculous Encounters, is over 100 true stories.
Wow, that's exciting. You've also, James Van Praagh, viewers may know him from the TV show.
Ghost Whisperer, he produced it.
Exactly. But you've also sat in and done some things with him as well, too, correct?
I was so excited. He's in California, and he goes all over the world. He tours. He was actually my idol. He's been doing it 35 years. I've been doing it 25 years, but he wrote a book when he was 10 years into this kind of work. And then he went to England to study how to do platform demonstrations. He's a wonderful, wonderful gentleman. He called me on my birthday. He heard about me in California, and he said, I'm coming east. Would you like to go on stage with me?
Wow.
So that was at the Whitaker Center, March, about a year ago.
Yeah.
And we did something called a double link. So he would hear a name of someone, they'd stand up, and I would get something, then he would get something. And it's wonderful to work with someone that does the similar work that you do. Every medium approaches this in a different way, but we're similar in our approach.
Yeah.
He's a healer too,
Yeah.
and I love him.
Now, people can see you even locally, too, so we're going to put your website up on the screen. What are we going to find there?
Well, October 2nd, I'll be in Lancaster,
Okay.
Metaphysical Chapel, and that's a Sunday, and I'll be doing the sermon in the morning, and then talking about my book in the afternoon and doing some random readings. And then October 16th, I'll be in Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania, at an art gallery. It's called Second Floor Art Gallery. It's a very small setting, intimate setting with limited seating. That's starting to fill. And then, traditionally in November, I come to Hershey, to What If Hershey, and we have a traditional Thanksgiving dinner. I'll be there November 20th on a Sunday. And I love it there. People love it.
There's always updates on there too.
Yes.
So if they miss any of these, we can go on and find
And
out
they
other
can
places.
also sign up for my newsletter. I have a
okay.
newsletter on the on my website.
And you can get books from there as well too?
Well, yes, there's a
Okay.
section where you can order books, and
Yeah.
so yeah, I'm excited about this
Find
one.
out all about you on the website too. We're going to take a brief pause. When we come back, we're going to find out more about Michelle's work and more about the book. Stay with us. Welcome back to Behind the Lines. We're talking with Michele Livingston, Living in the Afterlife Experiences from the Soul Place, an author, also an artist, ordained minister, a visionary, and spiritual counselor. So we talked a little bit about your background and what you do too. This book is really a very special book because this gets into
A lot of subjects. It's actually food for thought, but as I said earlier, people want to know what happens after we make it to the light, and we all go through a life review. Now, when I say that, it's not across the board. Many souls mentioned it out of the 33 souls that communicated. And basically what the life review is, it's a overview of the life that we left, how we've loved, how we've helped other people, how we've hurt other people. So the shoe is on the other foot. We objectively view our life from the first breath to the last breath. And our angels, our guides, ask us, how have you loved? What did you do with your life? Did you fulfill your soul mission? I think we're all on a soul mission down here on earth. And so the life review is valuable. Then after that, we meet up with our soul groups. Soul groups have known us and loved us, from a previous time, and they welcome us home. That's our true home, is heaven. There was a soul that came through, a celebrity, which I was very surprised when she came through. She was a singer, and she talked about entertainment and music and how she was able, before she incarnated, before she was born, to step into tonal frequencies. So many children that have gifts, whether they're artists or musicians or singers, they've honed that before they incarnated. And she went into great detail about the beautiful colors and the sunbow orbs, and how she's with a soul group of singers. And they do tonal frequency with humming. And it's beautiful. And she said, it sounds kind of funny, but interestingly enough, some souls will watch birds here on Earth and learn how to do runs or the different tones. So that was a fascinating chapter. I have another singer that came through, a dancer, and a comedian. It is. It's interesting. If nothing else, it's entertaining.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure it is. I'm sure it is. And there is sense of humor there too,
Oh,
isn't
absolutely.
there?
Laughter,
What you found, yeah.
which is good medicine. And I do have a comedian from 1950s that he was funny, and he talked about how laughter brings such joy in heaven, not just here on earth, but good medicine.
I think the whole purpose of this book is what, Michele? What do you really want us to get from this?
What I feel should happen, people have a fear of the unknown and a fear of death. And so many cling to life because they're afraid to let go. This hopefully will give them another perspective. And they'll think about, well, that's a wonderful thing. I'll meet up with my pets, my loved ones, my ancestors will come in. It's a realm of beauty. It's a realm of love and light. This is a training ground. This earth plane, or we call it the third dimension. And we mentioned the near-death experience. Most people do not want to come back to Earth after they've made it, at least through the tunnel. It's so beautiful.
Right.
So it will be, as I said, something to think about, something different. And I like the idea that each personality of each soul presented it in a slightly different way.
Yeah, right. Let's touch briefly on something that I know is really a topic that we've been talking about a lot. I know we have even on this show, but suicide.
Suicide. I've counseled a lot of families whose son overdosed or with suicide, or many different types of suicide. From what I got from a couple souls that came through about the subject is, it's the intention behind the action. Many people think suicide is bad, but there's no condemnation with it. It's a choice. I feel from what they've told me that we soul contract the timeline. And the only downside with suicide is we cut our timeline short a little bit. But God accepts all. And believe it or not, I got that there are also rehab counselor souls that will help a person who's taken their life. Now, if someone took their life, the intention was anger or revenge, it's a different motive than someone that's in pain, or 9/11 with the World Trade Center where they jumped out of windows, you know, or a mother might jump in front of a car to save her child, or a soldier might take a bullet for a friend. Those are all different motives than the negative one. So this is taken into consideration. It's not cut and dry when we get over there. It's what's behind the motivation of the suicide.
Okay.
Whether it's depression or mental pain or anguish. So that was, and then there was also a celebrity that took his life. I don't mention names. He was funny. He was a comedian and an actor on Earth, and he said he shot straight up to heaven. He didn't go through the tunnel or anything. And his grandmother said, "What are you doing here?" You know, you have fans on Earth, and you have people that love you. And he said, "My only regret was my children and my wife." That was his regret.
Yeah.
But he was ready to get on with things over there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting.
The subject of being comatose. Address that.
That's a really interesting subject. A friend of mine who was a psychiatric nurse had surgery and went into a coma. And her daughters called me and said, "Come to the hospital, see if you can derive any information from our mother who's in a coma." And I did. I actually saw her soul above her body, and then when I looked again, her soul was sitting in a chair. And she said, "Tell my girls I have my hair done to go to heaven." But her chapter is one of the longest because she says that we all have free choice. But if you think of it this way, someone that you're keeping artificially alive when their timeline is up is like pushing a baby back into the womb or pushing a butterfly back into the cocoon, because we're all in a timeline. So she told me to tell her daughters to cut the cord, to let her go, because her soul was coming and going. Many times people in comas, because of that state, their soul tends to come and go and travel up and down through the hospital wings and so on. So everyone has an opinion about it. From what I got is it's okay to release, it's okay to let them go. And that was very interesting. And her daughters were very thankful for that. Took a lot of courage to let them go, cut the cord.
Sure, sure. Once again, this book is available not only on Michelle's website, but we're going to put it up on the screen, and you're also going to find out a little bit more about Michele, where she's going to be, and that sort of thing too. It's also available in digital download too, right?
And through Amazon or wherever books are sold.
That sort of thing.
So if it brings someone comfort or hope to know that there's a beautiful world in the next dimension, heaven.
So I think what you're doing with all of this, you're helping to bring comfort to people. And I think that's really what you do overall, too.
I try, yes. And as far as what came through is there's no fire and brimstone. There are different frequencies, Diane. So someone like Hitler would be in the lower substrata, which those that would have committed heinous crimes or tortured other people, they don't all immediately go to a higher frequency. Some sleep for a while until they're awakened by heavenly volunteers that come down. So people ask, well, why would a murderer, why would Hitler go to the light? Immediately they don't. They have to account for what they've done, and that's the life review. So sometimes they wonder or sleep. And that's very interesting. That was mentioned a couple times about the sub realm.
Okay. In putting this book together, the whole process, was it exhausting for you?
I had to pace myself. I had to give it a lot of time, copious amounts of time. But you know, it's funny, it wouldn't always be in the sunroom where I'd hear a voice.
Okay.
It would be when I'm making a cup of tea, or doing something else in the house. That's how one of the singers came through. I heard her as plainly as we're talking right now, and I had to grab a pen and paper. We were on vacation in Jamaica, and I got someone that was very well known for reggae that came through, and again, I had to ask a server, quickly give me a napkin, and I started to jot things down.
Right.
So it was wonderful for me to get a different perspective from them. It's something that I would not have tried to even write if it wouldn't have been for all this happening. So I think people need this. I do.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a real healing message, I think, from what I've read too. And really, like you were saying, food for thought.
Yes, it is.
It's really, really what it is too. Yeah.
It might be controversial for some. But
Yeah, right. But it does
what
give
I
you
got.
something to think about.
Yeah.
And then looking at your own experiences, and I guess looking to what you really believe and feel to be true, right?
Yeah, and the baby boomers, let's
Yeah.
say. I'm one of them.
Right.
They're approaching later in life, and they're getting closer to making transition. And they're the ones many times that have the most questions about it, really.
Yeah. This is good and very interesting. We're going to take a brief pause, and we come back. Final thoughts, stay with us. Okay, we're back with a final thought from Michele, living in the afterlife experiences from the soul place.
Yes.
What do you want to leave us with?
I'd like to leave you with, this is a book for those that fear the unknown, for those that are possibly battling terminal illness and they're afraid. My mother, Dorothy, was down to 80 pounds before she passed, and she physically was trying to cling to life. God bless her. Now she knows how beautiful it is over there. But it's for those that are searching for a new perspective.
And there's a lot of stories in here.
Yes.
And once again, this is Michele's 6th book. She's also an artist and ordained minister. She also is available for talks in different places.
Seminars. And phone readings actually throughout the world.
Yes.
And in-person readings and small group sessions. I love to work with families.
Yeah. And we can also then hear you on the radio as well, too.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I have a fan page. It's the People's Medium. One of the people on my fan page, she said she gave the book to her 80-year-old father.
Okay, yeah.
And he loved it.
Yeah. Well, there you
He's
go.
Terminal, and so that made me feel good that he got something out of
All
it.
right. Well, thank you so much.
Thank
I think we
you.
got something out of this today, too.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us today, too. I'm Diane Dayton with Behind the Lines. And remember, keep looking behind the lines. You might be surprised what you find.